There we go.
And welcome to another exciting episode of the Click Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Tim DOGG, and I'm joined by my esteemed panel of comic book gentlemen. First up, Mr. Classic Material.
Bye week, round out week, mini bar. It's good to be back.
Good to be back. And we also have Mr. Agent underscore 70.
What's up? What's up?
And Dirk will be joining us shortly as soon as he gets home. And before we actually get into the meat of the show, I want to remind everyone to go to theclicknation.com. You can find the link for this show, which is live now, if you're just so happen to be watching live, or you can watch previous episodes, read some comic book reviews, breaking news, theclicknation.com. Also follow the Twitter account at theclicknation, like the Facebook fan page, facebook.com/theclicknation, join the Google community, the Click Nation community, and also make sure to add the Click Nation page to your circle. Subscribe on YouTube to youtube.com/theclicknation. Subscribe also to the Comic Book Chronicles podcast and the Click Nation podcast on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And last but not least, if you ever want some feedback to be read on a future show, just send that on into theclicknation@gmail.com. So, gentlemen, how has everyone's comic book week been going?
Pretty good.
It's all right.
Yeah, not bad.
There's a lot of stuff out this week to review.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy week.
Pretty DC,
Diverse, yeah.
a lot of DC stuff. At least I was more interested in probably the DC stuff than the Marvel.
Yeah, there's a couple of disappointing Marvel books out this week. You know, we'll get to that in the review section, but there's definitely a couple of disappointments out there.
And there's also a lot of news out as well, which we'll, of course, be touching on at the top of the show after we get through our introductions, of course. Oh, and gentlemen, let everyone know where they can follow you on Twitter. They can obviously see mine on the screen now.
Classic, you go ahead.
Yeah, you can follow me, of course, on Twitter at Classic Materia. That's ClassickMateria. I'm also on as at Cold Slither Pod. Of course, you can find me there, as well as at the Cold Slither Podcast website, coldslitherpodcast.com. Great show on iTunes and Stitcher Radio.
Thank you, Classic. And you can find me at Agent_70 on Twitter. And you can find me here, hopefully, on a fairly regular basis on the Comic Book Chronicles.
Yeah, I don't think you've missed a show yet.
Knocking on wood.
Knocking on wood.
Look at that.
Keep
Perfect
the streak
attendance.
alive. I'm just letting some people know where to find us on Twitter if they happen to be on and at home and feel like tuning in right now. Send that tweet off there. All right, so we're gonna, of course, start with news, and actually, it's funny. Like I don't think to start like collecting news articles until like Tuesday, and I'm like, oh, what happened Monday? So now I kind of try to go back and go through my Google Reader and whatnot and see what news broke and so forth. But first up, we are going to talk about. Actually, this ties into the end. What I think the first bit of news I added, and then the last bit of news I added, which was Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were confirmed to be in Avengers 2. That came out earlier in the week. And then today, this afternoon, Fox, or I guess Bryan Singer tweeted out that Quicksilver is also going to be in X-Men Days of Future Past.
Drama.
For your mama.
Mm-mm.
So initially, because Josh Whedon had teased that a brother-sister combo was going to be appearing in the Avengers 2, everyone was wondering. Well, of course, the first thought was, yes, of course it's going to be Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, because that's the only brother-sister combo anyone could think of in Avengers history. And it's of course the curious case of them both being mutants, which are under the X-Men umbrella and Fox, and they both have been Avengers, and of course Disney owns the rights to Avengers characters, so how could they, both technically they both could appear in both movie universes, and apparently they're at least Quicksilver is gonna appear in both.
I mean, we'll see how it gets resolved. Like see what ultimately what happens. But it's kind of disappointing that we were talking about this pre-show while we were trying to get on air. It kind of sucks that if this is a ploy by Singer and Fox to try to preempt Marvel from using any of the possibly X-Men related characters, just so that Marvel can't use them, that's pretty not cool.
Yeah, this does seem like one of those kind of vindictive take that type of moves. They're trying to top Marvel Studios. Fox is really just holding on to understandably a cash cow for them with the X-Men franchise. But what's going to happen, and what seems to be happening with this movie, with all these reveals of different characters that are going to be in it, and returning and uniting two different universes together, I think this movie is going to be terrible. I really, X-Men First Class was great, but and then they're going to expand off of that. But they've got so many people on this cast and appearing in this movie. I can't see how they're going to shoehorn all these different characters into the storyline. Yeah. It's gonna be a mess.
There's too many people and too many characters going to be involved in it. Plus, of course, all of them probably just going to be cameo, or as I've called it, cannon fodder.
Ah.
But still, it's too many.
I agree.
No, this just does not bode well, and it's like you said, it's a really kind of sneaky move by Bryan Singer and by Fox, to kind of do that. You kind of knew that they would hold on to it, but if they've already started filming, to kind of throw this in there last minute, it's it's really Bush League. I really don't have too much faith in this. I'll probably check it when it comes out, but they better really bowl us over with some great story or something.
Yeah,
they need to wow us.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I put a link in the chat for you two guys to read. I'll read some of it online on the show now. This is from hitflits.com. It's titled, "Why Are Fox and Marvel Having a Showdown Over X-Men and the Avengers 2?" It says, "Ever since the record annihilating opening weekend of the Avengers last year, I've been hearing speculation and questions about whether or not other studios who had the rights to certain Marvel characters would end up trying to strike a deal with Disney and Marvel Studios to include those characters in some sort of crossover situation that would allow them to appear in a future Avengers film. At the moment, I would not bet on that happening with 20th Century Fox." And it says, "This is not a situation where the two different companies are working together to try and create a sense of a larger shared world. In fact, if either of them could get the other to back off, they would." It says, "The thing is, Bryan Singer has designed a sequence that he feels only works for Quicksilver, and Josh Whedon feels that there is a pressing reason for Quicksilver to show up in Avengers 2. And so what we're going to see is a legally negotiated standoff in which we'll get two totally different versions of one character." Variant Dash on Twitter is chiming in. He says, "I think Fox deserves Quicksilver. They basically had a movie dedicated to Magneto. How do you not explore his children?" Which I actually agree with. It actually makes more sense for them to kind of be in the X-Men movie, just because at least for their tie to Magneto, since that is their father.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. No, they only talked about or mentioned Quicksilver. They might leave Wanda, Scarlet Witch alone, in which case, that could still, leave the door open for her to be in Avengers. But this doesn't seem like the two studios working together, and we're probably just going to see two different versions of the same characters. And isn't it that Marvel Studios can only use their first names? They can't use Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. They can only use Pietro and Wanda in their movie.
I haven't heard that. The only thing I've heard is in Avengers movies, they can't refer to them as being mutants, and in the X-Men movies, they can't refer to them as being Avengers.
Yeah.
So they can't, like in the Avengers, they can't explain how they got their powers, or they can give a reason how they get their powers, but they can't, they can't tie anything to them being mutants.
Marvel's just buy the X-Men franchise out. Just like, they got the Disney money. Just go up there with, a briefcase full of dollars and just like say, look, we're buying this sucker. Yeah, money talks.
I agree. That there's not much left to say. It's going to end up being negotiated somehow. Get a bunch of high-powered lawyers in there making boku bucks, and they're going to come up with some kind of compromise that's just going to sound stupid to the rest of us who just want to see a unified Marvel universe on the big screen. That's just what's going to happen. It's a shame. It's It's a byproduct of Marvel selling all these movie rights away and these companies holding on to them because they, like Classic said, they're cash cows.
And they also said that I guess the way it's supposed to work is the it'll be a young version of Quicksilver in Days of Future Past, and it'll be like the adult version in Avengers. And they also say who's going to play Quicksilver. Evan Peters is going to be Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past.
Wow, they cast him and everything.
Whoever that is. Who is
that?
It's
on television, I think. Some vampire TV show, maybe. I saw the American Horror Story. That's it.
So he's going to be like a real young, like teenage Quicksilver. He's not going to be like fully grown or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if they want to get to that demographic, I still don't understand it, but
you don't want to hear any of that.
Yeah. Twilight Quicksilver, Quicksilver, nothing like that.
Okay, next bit of news is The Rock wants to play Luke Cage. He tweeted out a picture that artist Ray Anthony Height had drew of a very rock-looking Luke Cage, and he was like, "Hey, Marvel, look at this!" And Kevin Feige, how you say his last name, sort of responded back saying, "Yeah, it would be great for Rock to be involved in Marvel movies."
Why not, right?
Do we think that The Rock will be playing Luke Cage in the future?
Yeah, because it's going to make them a crap load of money when they put it in theaters, whether it's part of the Avengers franchise or a solo movie. And, as much as certain people, myself included, might be against this, it like I said, money talks. They could put, it worked for the G.I. Joe franchise, or at least putting him in that movie. They made lots of money off of that, so.
Right. In terms of build, I don't know how many more Hollywood, like legit Hollywood actors would be able to pull off, Power Man with the yellow high collar shirt and the tiara. I'm sure they're not going to do that, but you know what I mean. Like, who else can you really see pulling that off with that build?
My only thought process is if The Rock does play Luke Cage, doesn't Luke Cage then have to be on like the same level as like Tony Stark because of just how big a star The Rock is now?
Possibly, that's why I say he might not even.
Well, that's a Bendis side effect, no? That's what he tried to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it might not even be in an Avengers movie. They might do a solo movie with him or something and work that into the
spin-off Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, exactly. Work that into like Phase 3 or 4 or whatever they decide with Marvel, and you'll see some cameos from some Avengers or something.
Yeah, they might do that, and they might develop that into like a street-level hero type, branch of the Marvel, cinema universe. Yeah. Where they'll have like the Punisher probably come on because they got his rights back, Daredevil because they got his rights back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but let's address the glaring elephant in the room here. What we basically saw with The Rock when he was chosen to play Roadblock in G.I. Joe. it's not the same complexion. I mean, yes, The Rock is black, but you know, I mean, I really feel like this is that one drop rule just being like just stretched out. Like, oh, it's The Rock. He's black. Let's put him in a black superhero role. Like, there's just it don't fly. You look at Luke Cage in a comic, and you put him side by side with The Rock, and it's just not the same. And it's like, why are you gonna do this, man? Now you got to redraw Luke Cage. Now Luke Cage is gonna be light skinned and half Samoan when they do the comics from now on. You know, he's gonna have the little tattoo in the chest or whatever. You know, they're gonna change it up now. You know, Black Nick Fury. You know?
And that then it doesn't really bother me as much.
Yeah. Well, there's that, and I don't know if you've got the other story about Michael Jordan in there too, but it's kind of a similar,
Michael Jordan.
discussion.
Michael Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
Who's that?
Oh, that's another story. I guess I can break that here. I don't know if we talked about last week.
Before you do that, let me read some tweets here.
All right.
Variant Dash says, going back to Fox and Disney, he says, companies aren't cash cows. Fox worked hard to make Marvel respected in films. There'd be no Avengers without X-Men 1 and 2. Can't just call Fox greedy. They made Marvel along with Sony, with Spider-Man, and Disney is cashing in. And
That doesn't explain X3 and Spider-Man 3, though. They made a lot of money, but
maybe those are cash cows. The
Right.
sequels.
yeah. Trust me, a lot of us were not pleased with either of those.
And
let's not overhype X-Men 1 and 2, while we're at it. You know what I mean?
You can overhype too if you want to. That was great.
I can never say I can honestly say I was never satisfied walking out of an X-Men movie ever.
I was for 2 in First Class.
Yeah, and let's not forget too. Fox put out Elektra the movie. Okay,
I already forgot about that.
that's my case.
And he also says Terry Crews, Old Spice guy, will be Luke Cage.
Yep.
You
Or
could
the
do
other
that.
Old Spice guy, the Isaiah guy,
Yeah, but Terry Crews is the
Isaiah Mustafa.
hamburger man or whatever from whatever group. What was that? The football prison movie that I can't think of the name of.
Oh, The Longest Yard.
Longest Yard, isn't that Terry Crews?
Yes.
Hamburger Man. Nah, that's President Camacho from Idiocracy, man. What are you talking about?
Oh my goodness, the
Yeah.
hamburger man. That's what you remember him for.
Hamburger Ed or whatever.
You don't remember him for the Expendables or
White chicks.
That's the first one that popped in my mind.
Oh my goodness.
And trying to add dirt to the call now.
All right.
Let's see. Saint Walker 191 on Twitter says, "What I find hilarious, Brian said he was going to clean up the mess X-Men Last Stand made, but with all these characters, it seems he is following the same blueprint." Shake my
X-Men?
head.
Oh, The Last Stand. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a mess.
And I agree, because he is fucking it up.
Who directed The Last Stand? Was that like McG or something? Who the hell directed that one?
That's the Rush Hour guy.
Oh, okay. Might as
I
well have
think.
been McG. McG. What happened to him?
McG? Yeah, because he did a Fastlane, which I loved.
Fastlane.
Yeah, had Bill Bellamy, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, dude that's married to Kelly in real life.
Yeah.
Kelly from 90210. Dirt, I'm trying to add you, but of course now, just like last time when I try adding you, I put your name in and it doesn't want to let me press the enter button to submit. You said I could send him the link to this, right?
Oh, I see on top. It says Tim Dog invited people into the chat. So
Yeah, if you let me see if
I'm about to do it
work
because
around
he. Let me send it to him. See if this works.
Yeah, if you chat it to him or just send it through email, should work just the same.
Okay, but go with
So
that that new whatever Michael B. Jordan news you were gonna say.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And this might be a little old, but it's actually a couple days old. For the Fantastic Four movie franchise, which is being brought back, and I think Fox still has that, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if the Marvel got that back or whatever, but the director behind that, and I don't have his name in front of me, but he actually was the director of Chronicle, that superhero movie with the three teenagers in it. And so people are putting two and two together because Michael B. Jordan was the black dude from Chronicle. He was also, the last quarterback on Friday Night Lights. That movie. He was also in Red Tails. Accomplished young actor, and named in a lot of different like wish lists for Marvel movies already. But people have been speculating that he would be picked to play Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, in this new movie, if there is a Fantastic Four reboot. And they're basing that off the fact that he and the director know each other, work together, and they're pretty good friends. Now, of course, both of them, when being approached by this, are shooting down those rumors. They're saying, "Oh, this is just speculation. We don't know what you're talking about." They're probably doing what they need to do, even if it is the truth. But people are up in arms about it, like, wait, the Human Torch is not some black dude. What's going on here? And then people are arguing the other end of it, which is Johnny Storm is a playboy. He's a hothead. He's a young guy. He's got his way with the ladies. Nowhere does it say that he has to be white. And it's basically the same kind of backlash that people were giving, or when Donald Glover was in talks to try to play the Amazing Spider-Man, which is how are you going to have a white comic book character being played by a black man in the movies? So not as clear cut, or this is more clear cut, than The Rock playing Luke Cage, but it's still like I don't know, racist still seems to be an issue.
And
Yeah, but
Dirt,
then,
just so everyone know, Dirt's here, but he says his camera won't turn on. So
Can you hear me?
yes.
yes,
It's a nice photo.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
excellent photo.
Jason Dancing Disco. Everybody forgets that sequel, but I can't get the camera to turn on. The Google Hangout lets me choose the webcam. The webcam's plugged in, but it just won't actually activate. So I don't know what's going on.
You tried unplugging and plugging back in.
What? You can do
Is it
that?
external?
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
USB.
Okay.
or you can try maybe jumping out and jumping back in.
You can jump out, jump back in.
Yeah.
I heard all those dings that I think was Dirt trying to get on, so I've been trying for a little while.
Whoa.
Let's see what's the next bit of news. Let's see. Avengers Assemble sneak peek is available on iTunes until tomorrow, right?
Yes. Did you guys download it?
I did,
Still haven't.
and
You
I
watch
watched
it,
the
Tim?
first. I watched it. Did you?
Yes, I did.
How about you, Dirt?
For what? What is it? Avengers what?
Assemble, the animated show.
Oh, nah.
They put the first episode on iTunes for free download until tomorrow, and then they're going to show that in episode 2 in an hour-long sneak peek premiere Sunday morning until it comes back and starts for real on July something.
Right.
I don't have time to read all the comics I'm supposed to read. How am I supposed to start watching another show?
It's only half an hour.
I
20 some
agree.
odd minutes.
I started watching it after calling in bed the other night, and then I finished it at work.
Although they canceled 2 of my TV shows and I only watched 4, so
Yeah,
I guess
most
I
of
will
that-
have time.
Plus, Scandal's off the air, so that should free up a lot of time.
For the one person who watched it?
Yeah. Hey, don't say that on Twitter.
But I did watch Avengers Assemble. It wasn't as horrible as I thought it was going to be.
I agree. But the voice changes were jarring.
They sounded close enough to their movie counterparts.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what's funny is that the voice that came out when Thor started speaking to me was the most jarring. I was like, "Whoa, what the hell?"
He sounded like Thor, though.
You think?
Yeah.
All
Said
right.
verily and whatnot.
There's
All you need to see.
low standards here. I gotcha.
Did it feel like they were trying to do the movie version as a cartoon, or did it feel like the comic?
It was the movie as a animated show.
Okay. All right. Man,
They even had they did was it widescreen shots during some of the action, and they had the little cinematic score music Like
Yeah.
the like when they do the whole panoramic shot in the movie, they had that music going, or like a version of it going. Put it that way.
And Iron Man's kind of the centerpiece of the team, kind of the de facto leader, so to speak. They got Captain America like in the background.
Yeah, that's always
Well,
the
at least
most
in the
depressing
beginning.
part for me.
Yeah.
And Marvel also did a Marvel Next Big Thing live blog with some of the people behind the scenes for the show this afternoon. The only thing they revealed was like who some of the villains are going to be throughout the season, which you see them, at least two of them in that 30-minute preview.
Right.
Are any of them the Mandarin?
Too soon.
An actor playing the Mandarin. No stage performers in this one. There's a lot of infighting and them trying to get along and work as a team. Like I said, basically the movie. Let's see, next bit of news. Geoff Johns ended his run on Green Lantern with issue 20 this week. It was the end of an era, 10 years, because he started, I think he said in his first Green Lantern book was in 2003. Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
I actually haven't read much or any of his books because I wasn't really into DC at that time, but lately I've been reading his stuff. It was
I read a lot of them for a while. Like, I loved all the, Blackest Night stuff and the Sinestro Corps War and everything, but it just got to a point where he couldn't write, like, a straight-up story anymore. Like, story... Yeah, it's like every story had 15 layers to it, and it tied into 20 other books, and there was something that happened like 35 years ago in a Brave and the Bold issue that he had to somehow tie into it, and like he was doing the same thing that Bendis is doing with the Avengers, but it almost seemed like on a grander scale. You kept trying to bring in more characters. Like I almost wonder if at one point he had some poster from like 1997 of the Green Lantern Corps with like 208 characters, and he figured like I have to use every single one of these guys,
Yeah.
It just got to a point where it was so hard to follow after a while.
Yeah, and under his watch, of course, the Green Lantern Corps, was expanded, or the Green Lantern universe was expanded with the Red Lanterns and the Black Lantern. Basically, every color under the sun ended up getting their own lanterns, which, it was cool when it started, when they had like the the Sinestro Corps and the Yellow Lanterns and the Black Lantern, but now it's just it's kind of like it's kind of a parody of itself. You're like, oh, there's a red one, there's a purple one, there's a it's like a crayon box.
When it first happens, you're like, okay, well, none of these colors have ever been done with before except for yellow. So you're like, okay, well, he's going to play around with some of these other colors, and you kind of expected them to last for like a year or two and then kind of fade away. Mm-hmm. But instead, it's like Red Lantern's getting their own book. The Larfreeze is getting his own Orange Lantern book. It's like these colors are not going away; they're sticking around, and so now it like dilutes the power and the joy and the interest of the whole idea because there's just so many of them now.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can't be a Green Lantern, you can be one of the other colors.
Or three of the other colors.
Right.
And
like
then,
Guy Gardner.
And then something that I guess I knew it, but seeing it like laid out, like at the end of the book, they basically give you like a timeline of what all the stories were, so you can go back and get the trades to follow how the story originally started, and it's like. They have it like broken down in sections, like Rebirth. This is what happened in Rebirth, and they have the cover of the book or books, and it's like in Rebirth, this was seeded, and it's like something that was seeded 10 years ago that actually comes into effect like 7 years ago. 7 years later, it's like all this little small stuff that they reference, like, and then in Sinestro Corps, this happens, which. Ties into War of the Light, which was like 5+ years later.
Yeah, and a lot of them, it almost felt like if these were the only comics I was reading, then it would have been, some of the stuff happens, you're like, oh, I remember that from, 2005, sure. But because I read so many different things, something happens, a character pops up, something gets referenced, and I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. It's like I have to go to Wikipedia in order to find a reference to something so that I can Google the reference so I can find a message board where someone has pulled out the back issue where they found the connection. It's like you're trying too hard at this point. You gotta spoon feed it along a little bit because this is something that's played out over the course of 10 years.
I can barely keep up with the stuff that happened from a book 30 days ago.
Yeah, seriously.
It's I can barely keep up with real life.
I'll be reading a book from 30 days, the next issue from a book last month, and I'm like, wow, I don't even remember what happened, in the previous issue. Got to try to refresh my memory now. But anyway,
I'm glad a lot of books are beginning to have those previously pages where it's like your nice little recap of what's important.
Us old folks need them.
Yeah, seriously.
The good news is Geoff Johns will continue to be handling the writing duties on Aquaman, so just catch his stuff over there.
And him and his artist partner Doug Mankey are moving over to Justice League of America, so we can follow them over there.
Yep.
I was going to talk about the latest Guardians of the Galaxy villain rumor, but it's like I said, it's a rumor that now I don't even care about it really. But supposedly some guy that's been cast in the movie is supposedly rumor now that he's going to be playing what's his face?
Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan the Accuser.
Yeah.
That's a cool way to introduce the Kree.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, good point.
Because then that opens the door to like Captain Marvel. That opens the door to a lot of different Kree-related things. Even the Inhumans.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else I feel like discussing? Oh, the latest Man of Steel trailers that have come out.
Fantastic.
Yes. Heat Vision.
This is the last one, right?
I think so.
It better be.
Yeah.
Save something for the movies.
We get to see that General Zod in this one is definitely a badass. He is not playing around.
Nope. So we actually get some good action in a Superman movie for now.
Yeah, no Lex Luthor.
It's not going to be the main event fight is not going to be Superman versus an island.
Yeah. Yeah.
Krakoa.
Another real estate window.
If it was Krakoa, it would have been better.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we can transition on over to this week's books. I'm gonna jump straight to. Unless anyone has anything before we get to the D's for DC.
I've got Masks number 7 from Dynamite. I have not opened this one yet, so I will be checking this out. But again, Masks.
This is Masked Crusaders.
Yeah, it's basically all the Masked Crusaders, like the Green Hornet and the Shadow and the Spider and Zorro. Zorro actually finally gets in some action. As of last issue, he had showed up and he gets some action in this issue from what I skimmed. But looking forward to getting into this one over the next few.
Actually, here's one before we get to DC. This is from Blue Juice Comics, which how about reaching outside of the box? Basically, there's a group of people dealing with time travel, and some time travel villains, big-time villains, have emerged, and they're basically, stealing people from different points in history and making them fight in this gladiatorial arena. And so the scientists and this military guy, they have to fix it, but of course the military people don't trust the scientists, and scientists don't trust the military, as it always works out. And so it's kind of like it starts out really kind of dark and bloody and gory, and then it kind of gets a little lighthearted in the middle, and kind of it's kind of like this weird, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's kind of this funny vibe to it while they're hopping through time, and just the whole idea that you're going to travel through time is just so absurd, that when they get involved in it, they just, on the one hand, they can't even imagine that they're doing this, and then at the same time, it's like, all right, we got to, figure out what's going on and how to stop these people, etc. But overall, I felt it just, it was just a good read, and it was one of those things where you got to the end of it, you're like, all right, I want to read the next one. I want to know what's going to happen next. So, never heard of Blue Juice Comics before, but definitely it was a good book, and I'm going to continue checking it out.
Blue Juice.
I like that they're showing blood on the cover.
Yeah, you got that Revolutionary War guy with like his jaw ripped off.
Oh yeah, it is kind of ripped off. I thought it was just like he was holding it.
Yeah, like he just took a shot to the face.
Oh wow.
No, that's a different book.
Yeah, that Saga.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a different kind of juice.
Saga's been like 2 months since the last Saga book came out. But of course, it is an Image book, so they be on their own schedule. Anyways, DC. Lots of stuff for DC this week. Anyone read Aquaman number 20 with the fill-in team?
I normally do read Aquaman, but because this was an interlude book, I kind of skipped this one. I do have a copy of it, but I haven't dove right into this one yet.
It's misleading too, because the cover says one thing, but then the innards are something completely different.
Yeah, they got them. They
even have the credits wrong.
Yeah, they had incorrect info.
Yeah.
Well, it's in my pile to read. Just haven't gotten to it yet.
Same here.
Yeah.
I enjoy Aquaman. Just haven't
I'll
gotten to
get
it.
to it. I'll get to it. Yeah.
Let's see.
It's in my review pile. That's about it.
Yeah.
Let's get this. Anyone else besides myself read Green Lantern number 20?
I read it. I kind of hesitated about chipping in before, but now, what I have to say is it seemed like a pretty satisfying wrap up to what Johns has been weaving for the last 10 years. It was a long read. It was kind of like it did feel kind of like the finale was kind of slapped together, kind of haphazardly. It's like, oh, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. But it was kind of nice to see that, Johns, I guess this is like a habit of his. I read this in another review that he likes to throw in, like, what happened to so-and-so, to some of the other characters. So he kind of throws that in here as well. So it's definitely worth picking up just to see that, how Johns kind of puts the toys back in the toy box for, and the way he does it.
I ain't see what the point in doing like this is where everyone will end up in the future, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that was one of the things I really didn't like about it, where it's like, oh, Jon Stewart becomes a U.S. senator. It's like, really? It's like,
You sure he's not going to be killed in like
yeah, right.
the next 10 months, or the next calendar year.
Like I said, I read it somewhere that this is like one of his tropes. It's one of his like kind of things that he does. So, I didn't understand it, but it's one of the things he does.
But besides that, I enjoyed it. I liked all, the art was great. I actually couldn't tell what pages Mankey didn't draw and the ones other people drew. And it's like there was every like 4 or 5 pages was another like big reveal. Like, oh, here's Sinestro, and looking badass, and here comes Hal Jordan, and
Gnort.
Yeah, Gnort.
Gnort shows up.
And trying to remember what else happened in it. I like the shout outs that all the different creators gave at the end of it.
Yeah, that was nice. Classy send off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that too.
Especially when it's like people at the competitor now, but they still had nice things to say and their stuff got published.
Yeah, even people that were working on like some of the movies, the Green Lantern movie, and and just people in the business in general, the impact that he's left. I thought this was a great send off for Geoff Johns. A good wrap up for this chapter and the characters. Sort of lore. like it or not, Geoff Johns has done a lot for this Green Lantern character. It's kind of brought him back to the forefront of the DC universe. You can't deny that. So. I thought this was a good wrap-up, good send-off. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the next creative team as they come on, like how they're going to continue to bring these stories across, and maybe they'll do a cleanup of all these different types of Lantern Corps. Who knows?
Nope. They're here to stay.
Yeah,
they got Red Lantern book that they should cancel but won't, and they got, like Dirt said, the Larfleeze solo book for some strange reason.
When the numbers don't translate well, then you'll see some kind of big massacre happen.
I will say quick. I'm glad you brought the new creative teams. That reminded me of on Tuesday, the new ongoing writer on Green Lantern, Robert Venditti. He was tweeting out that Geoff Johns' last issue, number 20, is in stores now. And I retweeted and added, I was like, it's out now? Because, it's Tuesday and not Wednesday.
Shipping.
And then he was like, 15, 20 minutes went by. I had actually forgotten about the tweet by then because I was, on to the next tweet. But he replied back, he was like, thanks for catching my typo. He was like, go to my website and leave your mailing address in the comments, and I'll send you a signed issue 21.
Wow, nice guy.
Cool.
Yeah, I would have shot you down like. I was like, thanks. You know who I am. How dare you?
And what's even stranger is the actual DC Comics Twitter account did the same thing. Like an hour or so later, they tweeted out a link to the iBookstore where I guess supposedly you could download issue 20. I don't know if that was accurate or not.
All right.
Although, to be fair, comics do get delivered on Tuesday for the stores to, open them and sort them and put them in the inventory and whatever to sell on Wednesday. So technically, it was in stores. You just couldn't buy it.
Yeah. Unless the iBookstore somehow let you do it early. But,
well, you know how Apple does like to break the law, I've heard.
Breaking the law.
One thing about Green Lantern 20, I have to admit, I read the book, and then, I don't know, a couple hours later, I was talking to somebody, and they go, well, what'd you think of that 4-page fold-out? And I was like, 4-page fold-out? What are you talking about? And so then I had to go back and flip through the book and actually find, oh, yeah, there's this one page of Hal Jordan that you flip open, and you see, all the characters, from the entire run on 4-page fold-out. I completely missed it.
Is it near the end?
Yep.
Yeah, I saw it on the digital copy.
Yeah, this is a very 90s style presentation with this book.
Mm-hmm.
They give you kind of all the bells and whistles and throw it in. Only thing missing was a Prism hologram cover.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not foil embossed.
Yeah. Hey, Dirt, what's the cover price on the physical copy?
$7.99. Right?
Yeah, $7.99 for the regular, $8.99 for the combo pack.
Yeah.
What comes with the combo pack?
It just comes with the download code for Comixology.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, you got more of your money's worth with this than you did paying that amount for the Amazing Spider-Man number 700.
Was 700 that much?
I think that was only $5.95.
Right, Detective.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Detective?
Yeah, Detective was the same price, and that was.
I still haven't read that Detective book. What issue was that?
That was a waste.
19.
Yeah, I heard such bad things about it. I guess I must have told myself not to even waste my time with it.
If it was just a regular issue, it would have been fine. But for being an overpriced, oversized, special 900th anniversary, whatever, it was just garbage.
Let's see what else came out this week. Anyone read Flash? I haven't yet.
I skimmed it.
To read.
Dirt, did you have something to say about that?
I was just going to say I have it to read. I just haven't gotten around to reading it yet.
I skimmed it. It's the return of Francis Manapool on co-writing and penciling.
Yeah. That's which is why I'm going to jump back on the series now. Or jump onto the series.
It's the first part of a 6-part arc in introducing the Reverse Flash into the New 52. I read it. I'm not keeping up with the Flash that much, so it's kind of difficult to keep up, with some of the character developments. But the end teases that Flash and Kid Flash are finally going to meet. the Kid Flash in not New Teen, but Teen Titans in the next issue. So that's pretty much it. The art has a. I just wanted to mention that the art is, maybe I'm new to Manipul's Flash art, but it's got a really light kinetic quality to it, which is good for Flash.
Yeah, I like it. I like his art. Even though I haven't been reading Flash monthly. I'm going to try to start now, at least. Let's see. Green Team Teen Trillionaires, #1. That's a lot to say.
That was great.
Yeah, I actually haven't finished it. I was reading it before the show.
I love that book. I thought it was fantastic. Like,
who was the writer on that? Because he had these characters down pat as far as like young.
It's written by Baltazar and Franco, who are the guys who did Tiny Titans and Superman Family Adventures, and now they're doing the Aw Yeah comics and the Mini Hellboy or Hellboy Jr. or whatever that's called.
I liked his both of their Franco and the other guy, Baltazar. Yeah, there it is. I was trying to read it from the screen.
And it's a super fun. There's a guy who's like this trillionaire. He has all this money. He's young, so of course he's like a target. Bad guys always want to kidnap him and whatever. And so he starts collecting technology because he's kind of thinking, well, I can buy all this neat stuff. Why don't I just become a superhero? And of course his friends all think it's a bad idea and whatever. And then these bad guys actually do find him and attack. So at one point he was like, all right, I'm going to try it. And he whips on this like super suit and he powers up and he's like, all right, now you guys are going to get it. And the moment he fires the rocket boots, he like flies backwards through a wall, because he has no idea how to control it or what to do with it, and it's just a fun, lighthearted, and all the characters like felt consistent all the way through the book, and you liked all of them, and they did, kind of fall into, character archetypes. Like every character, you're like, okay, well that's the ditzy Hollywood actress, and that's the son of someone powerful trying to live up to his potential, and everybody's kind of in one of those like John Hughes characters. But it works. Like everything about it works. I love this book.
Oh,
yes. Thumbs up for me, even though I haven't finished reading it yet. But I could already tell. I was like, yep, this is gonna be the new monthly book. I'm kicking Teen Titans to the curb, which also came out this week.
You should. I was like, when we get to it, I don't blame you.
I wasn't even gonna try to read it this week, but yeah, that's making way for the Green Team. Oh yeah, and fuck, was that the sister book to Green Team? The Movement.
Oh, Movement. Yeah, that book is terrible.
Fuck that book. But anyone else wanted to say anything about Green Team?
Didn't get a chance to read it.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, you're missing out. It's great.
Let's see what else we got. I skipped Batman Incorporated, but
another filler issue.
It was a fill-in issue. I couldn't bring myself to read it.
Yeah, I did check it out. It was interesting, but Batman. It's basically the Batman of Japan, and he's going on his adventure over there. But not really much to write home about. An interesting story, but you kind of wanted to see what was going to happen next in Batman Inc. That big splash page from the previous issue. That was what I was actually waiting for. So, yeah.
Yeah, I only read Batman Incorporated for the book that Damian died in, and after that happened, I think I read the next issue, but after that I was like, nope, no more.
Yeah. Because the cliffhanger in the previous issue was Bruce was heading out for revenge against the Leviathan, and he was heading over to Talia al Ghul's spot to exact his revenge. And
he's all jumped up on Man-Bat juice, right?
Yeah, he had the Man-Bat juice and had his fleet of Man-Bats with him, and in mech armor, and to jump to this, it's kind of like, okay, I guess. I will say the art is very reminiscent of old, Eastman and Laird original Ninja Turtle style.
Let me ask.
I kind of got that.
Let me ask the group. So far, the only Bat books I'm reading are Batman and Robin now. Since Damian died, I've started reading Batman and Robin, even though there is no Robin in it anymore. Is there another Batman book I need to be reading?
You know,
I mean,
the last
Nightwing also, but I mean just straight Batman book.
yeah, I was gonna say the last few issues of Batman: The Dark Knight have actually been pretty good, and I think because they may have switched writers or something, because I wasn't reading it before, but they've been focusing on the Mad Hatter and kind of like reinventing him for the New 52, and I think that after this, I think they're doing Clayface and going back. I was complaining, you know, about how they never did his origin, and now they're going to be going back and doing his origin, and it's becoming the book that's kind of filling in some of that history. So some of that stuff from, you know, Flashpoint to where we are now in the New 52, like it's going back and kind of not, and they're not necessarily set in the past, but they will like reveal some of that history.
Okay.
So all the stuff I was kind of complaining about before, they're you know, starting to tackle some of that.
Gotcha. Okay, I might try to check out Dark Knight.
Now, is that still the same continuity as New 52? I'd gotten the impression that book. Okay, I thought it was maybe like you know, something different, like the old Dark Knight series used to be like an Elseworlds type thing.
Yeah, well, it's not. None of the story. I don't think any of the stories that are being told are being told in the same time period as where the rest of the Batman books are now, but they're the same history. So they may be set, you know, like a year before what you're reading now in the Batman books, or they may be, you know, 6 months after the story that you're reading now in the Batman books. So, you know, that way they're not, you know, well, how can he be over on that side of town when he's over on this side of town? You know, they're kind of avoiding all of that by kind of pulling them out of whatever the current day is, but it's still stories that tie into what's going on.
Cool. Let's see what else came out.
I was about to say, you missed me. You guys missed me. You know, celebrating the Rangers staying alive in the NHL playoffs.
I saw you
pumping my arms. I was
pumping,
restraining myself.
I thought you were watching TNA Impact.
Wrestling.
What is this book that Dirt has up?
This is Batman Little Gotham.
Oh yes, the digital.
Yeah, this is the other one that I was going to say is a good one for reading, and this one is its own thing. You know, this is one of those digital first books where it comes out like every Friday. You get a new 99-cent chapter, and then at the end of the month they collect them and print them and put them into a book. But it's, you know, the first issue, it's like Halloween night, and so they're out, you know, on the town, and of course they can't tell like who's in a costume and who's actually a villain, and you know, hijinks ensue, and the artwork is all this like watercolor painted, you know, very beautiful looking artwork, and you know, it's a book that my son likes to read, you know, and I can read with him. So you're not going to find like the death of Damien and all that kind of stuff tied into it. It's just kind of its fun own, you know, special thing on the side.
Pretty cool.
Highly recommend it. I'm gonna try to check them out.
Highly recommended.
You talked about Dark Knight already, and I actually didn't even know an issue of that came out this week, so I guess it's good I did bring it up. Superman 20.
I love that cover.
It's a nice cover.
Let's see it.
There you go. Actually, it looks better without the logo and everything on it when you just see the artwork of them punching and the word "Smash" double printed, screen printed in the background. There's just something like pop art about it that I love. But the issue itself was actually also a lot of fun because it's just a giant fight between him and Orion, and they're both kind of fighting about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Because in the Wonder Woman books, she's making out with Orion, and then in Justice League, she's making out with Superman, and everyone's like, well, what's going on? You know, she's got to pick a side. And so then, of course, it comes up in the fight between them, and Orion ends up leaving, but you can tell that there's still some unaddressed tension between them.
Nice. All right.
And Superman wins. And that's the other key.
He's like Batman. Batman always wins.
That's right. He gets the girl. Superman wins.
End of discussion. Not really.
Yeah, I thought it was weird, the whole, like, there's a great shot in there, though, of, no real spoilers, but Orion trying to attack Supes with an aircraft carrier. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool.
Orion, smash.
And I love the shots where it's like they're throwing punches at each other and they're just, like, flying through the buildings. So you just see them, like, or I guess it's the bottom of the aircraft carrier, so it's like, it's just wham, 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 wham of them going through the walls and, flying across the city, and it is just a fun big fight.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Usually I skip the Superman books, but if it comes highly recommended, I can, and it's fun. I hear it's fun, so I can check it out.
If they make a poster of this cover, I'm all over it.
I need to get some posters and get them framed and start hanging them in the house.
Yeah, you need something behind you, especially that big blank wall.
And it's funny, that would look kind of weird, just random poster hanging up in my kitchen area.
No, that's your studio. That's not your kitchen. That's your studio.
Ah, yes. Actually, I need a studio. Convert one of these empty rooms into a studio. Plus, I need a desk.
That'll be your recording studio, right?
Yep.
You gonna drop an album?
Comic Book Chronicles on Wets. It's not that funny. I'm assuming no one read Talon number 8.
I skimmed it. I don't even have. Did I? Nah, I don't even have any notes.
I will read it by this weekend. I just haven't got to it yet. I'm not loving, but I'm enjoying Talon. It's a fun book.
Really?
Yeah, I like it.
I don't know. I read the first 2, and they just didn't. I don't know. They just didn't grab me. Like,
I don't know. It's like, he's a new fresh character, so that's something different to me nowadays.
I guess one of the things was just it was based on this idea that he's trying to escape from the Court of Owls, and I just kind of had this feeling of like, how long can you do that? You know what I mean? It's like, how long can you have this guy on the run? And is that still what they're doing? Is him? Because this cover sure makes it look like he's still running from the Court of the Owls.
He's not really running from him. He's like trying to take him down.
Yeah.
And then what?
Well, they'll
slap a bat on his chest. Or
we'll have to, this whole Talon thing is probably going to take 12 a year's worth of books to resolve, and then by the time it resolves, another thread will be, like, now it's Bane he's fighting. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting twist in this, Tim. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I know you want to read it. So, just, it was okay. It was an okay issue.
Okay. I think they're on your DC or your Teen Titans, and no one cares about that.
Oh,
so
what about Justice League?
Well, yeah.
Geez, I did skip Justice League.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet, but
let me get a couple of DC books in before we get to Justice League because Tim doesn't want to talk about Teen Titans. So, Teen Titans number 20, another issue where the cover doesn't exactly match what happens in the book. It's written by not exactly esteemed ex-Marvel writer Scott Lobdell. There's some sort of an explanation of Raven's New 52 origin and lots of exposition from Trigon. The next issue involves, get this, the sibling rivalry between Trigon's 3 sons and Raven. And I'm like, really? This is where this is going? And I don't care anything about any of the other Titans characters. Yeah, with this Red Robin Reborn BS. Like, none of that happens in the book. There's nothing happening in the book regarding that. So
he's not reborn?
No. So what the hell's the point of saying that on the cover?
Does he put on a RoboCop helmet or whatever that is?
No, he does. His eyes don't even glow red. So,
There's nothing in there.
Does he grin?
That he's changed at all.
Right. Absolutely nothing happens in the book that's related to that. So you know what? Screw you, creators who keep screwing with Teen Titans. Just screw you. Go ahead, Tim.
Are the Legion of Superheroes going to be rebooted as Justice League Future or whatever?
Oh, who cares?
I don't, but I just figured I'd ask.
How about this? We'll lead into the Justice League discussion by discussing the last issue of the Fury of Firestorm.
I was like, is that still going on? I thought,
yes, it's the final issue.
jeez,
It's the final issue of a canceled.
was that announced to be canceled along with
Hawkman is also.
and Team 7
Yeah, I think so. I don't
and
know.
Hawkman? Who?
Yeah, this was the final issue of Hawkman too.
I said that came out this week, didn't it?
Yep.
Savage. Hawkman.
I couldn't even get myself to read that one.
Yeah.
But Firestorm, this was an interesting wrap up too. I guess whatever storylines are pending. It ends with Superman inviting Firestorm to the Justice League. Believe it or not, I was actually a fan of the pencils in this. I just wanted to talk about the art real quick. Dan Jurgens did the art in this, and he wrote the book, and he's inked by Norm Ratmund, who I remember like breaking in on Brigade. Believe it or not, back when Image started, when Image first started, he was like a Leafield disciple. But
he's inking Nightwing now.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of inks. Right, he's doing a lot of inks over at DC now. I just wanted to mention that I haven't seen Jurgens' pencils look this sleek and slick ever, and I credit that to Ratmund. So if you just want to flip through the book just to see, kind of Jurgens' art really clean and sharp and slick, it's definitely a credit to the inker on this. So I wanted to shout him out. I remember where he came from. I don't think he's much of a penciler. Not that I can remember. I'm not going to go and dig into my boxes looking for Brigade, but you know what I'm saying.
Hey, the Brigade Kickstarter is underway.
So, but in all seriousness, he did a great job of like really making Jurgens' art pop. So I give him props. So and then now we can go into Justice League 20 because speaking of Firestorm,
I was gonna say I've given my Firestorm rant on here before, right?
Which one?
How the name Firestorm and his powers have nothing to do with one another.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's got his head is on fire. His head is on fire. That's why.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot like flames or fire at anyone. He just manipulates and changes stuff.
Well, he can transmute stuff into something that's burning.
So why do they even call it Firestorm?
I don't know, because he's the former nuclear man, so that's where they got the name. I don't know.
How does Nuclear Man have to do with changing whatever? Okay,
whatever.
Justice League number 20.
Captain Atom was already taken.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. His name doesn't really fit either.
Moleculo would have been really cool.
Yeah, there you go. Molecular Man. Isn't there a Molecular Man?
I think so.
The Hamburger Man.
But yes, Justice League 20. Whoever's read it can discuss it.
I loved it. I really this is one of those things where probably 3 or 4 months ago I was sitting there reading Justice League going, why am I still reading this? This was so good and entertaining when it first started, and now it's just kind of gone nowhere. And then I got to the end of this issue, and I was immediately going, oh, I can't wait for the next one. I can't wait for this Trinity War to start.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a great setup. I read it. I thought it was fairly good. Like Dirt said, it's a great setup for Trinity War. It definitely makes you want to check out what's going to happen next.
And
I like it.
It really... it feels like it's starting to connect the dots to a lot of stuff that's happening in the DC universe. If you've read Justice League of America and some of the stuff going on in there, and some of the stuff Savage Hawkman and Firestorm both kind of led into their respective books. They just ended. This book has Martian Manhunter making an appearance, and he at one point was supposed to have been with Justice League and then left out because of some disagreement. Now he's on Justice League of America. He makes an appearance in here, and it's just starting to feel like all this stuff is coalescing finally. It's all coming together. And they, teased at this, a year and a half ago or whatever, when they first teased
last year's Free Comic Book Day.
That's right, last year's Free Comic Book Day.
And so it really feels like this is what, you didn't know it at the time, but all of those things that you've been watching were leading up to this. Now it's starting to work. Now it's actually starting to all come together, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel too contrived. It just kind of feels like we actually did get a sneak peek of what was coming, and now it's rolling forward. It's like you got the trailer to the movie, and now you're sitting down to actually watch the movie unfold. And so I was super happy when I got to the end of this book.
Dope. I'm excited to read it now. After I finish Green Team, that's the next on the list. So does that? I think that does it for DC now. DC, no. Thank you. Anyone read anything from IDW?
What is IDW? You know, I've got Ghostbusters, I've got Transformers, I've got Turtles. They're all sitting in my pile to get to. I just haven't had a chance to get to any of them yet.
Oh yeah, that Turtles 21 that starts the new whatever story arc, right?
Oh yeah, City Fall or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the one that came out this week was the Baxter Stockman villains book.
Oh, number 21 must. Okay, that's some $10 Dynamic Forces exclusive cover. That must be like a.
Yeah, that book's already
reprint.
out.
Okay, reprint.
Yeah, what came out this week was the focus on Baxter Stockman and just kind of, you know, his villain-centric book. They've been doing this. They did the specials where they did the Turtles and Casey Jones and April O'Neil and whatever, and now they've started with the villains, and they did Krang, and now this time they did Baxter Stockman, and they, you know, just it's character, you know, it's background and story pieces and stuff. But I mean, it's good, and it's the original Baxter Stockman from the black and white comics. It's not the nerdy guy who turns into a fly from the cartoon, so that's cool.
Yeah, City Fall doesn't start till next week, the 29th. It's issue number 22. That's supposed to be like the big epic, multi-part story where a lot of stuff happens for the Turtles.
And Baxter Stockman has 70s porn mustache, so that's always, that's a bonus.
Okay. Oh, I've been hearing a bunch of stuff about Half Past Danger. What is that about? Anyone know? From IDW?
No, but I can send you a review copy.
Please do. And I actually, they're supposed to be sending me stuff, but they haven't yet. Well, they sent me the first press email, which was for some Star Trek limited edition hardcover book. But the email said, and materials, but I've yet to receive materials. But it's only been 1 week, so.
Well.
Yes, please. Half Past Danger. At least I'll flip through it. Image had a few books this week.
Yep.
I know Agent 70 wants to talk about Activity, number 13.
Yeah, I'll get to that. Activity 13 it's again written by Nathan Edmondson, art by Mitch Gerards. It's kind of an interesting filler issue because it's definitely an in-between missions where the team has some downtime and they head to South America to like kind of do a favor for a fellow operator from the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. It's kind of like quickie done in one stuff. I mean, that's sort of what this book is. Good. That's one of the good parts of this book is that it's done in one stuff. And apparently one of the wife of one of the operators has been giving away intel to the enemy. So he's been So he's been disavowed from the team. So it's kind of cool to see a little bit of development there. In terms of story development, character development for the team, it was a good issue. But in terms of the action, it was kind of a quickie, not all that involved issue. But it's definitely worth reading, for kind of down to earth, realistic military, comic book fiction. So that's good.
Okay.
It's not the. You know what? Let me finish with this. It's not the issue I would recommend. It's not the issue I would recommend someone picking up. I would actually recommend a different issue, maybe the issue before this, to pick up. Not this was kind of a tough one to just pick up and read. Kind of fresh.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm still trying to finish Dream Merchant number 1 from Edmondson.
Yeah.
Let's see what else came out from Image.
Bounce.
Oh yeah, Bounce number 1. Bounce.
You guys read this?
I did.
Tim did a review of it. You didn't read his review?
I didn't get to it.
What?
I didn't get to it. I barely got time to read these things. You want me to read somebody's reviews of them? Nah.
Especially since I try to keep my reviews as short as possible now, so I can at least get them out quickly.
So what do you think, Tim? Real quick.
It was the best way I can describe it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't spectacular. It was just there.
To me, it just sounds like a premise it sounds like a pitch for a movie, and they're just trying to fill in, so that they can get this, pitched to a movie as soon as possible.
I'm gonna give it till issue 3, and then decide if I'm actually gonna stay reading it or not. Because I'm assuming this is a regular ongoing series, because it doesn't say like one of 4 or 5 or 6 behind it. But we don't know much about the hero. He doesn't have a name. We know his real name. Joseph Jenkins, I think his name was. Jenkins definitely his last name. I believe Joseph was his first name. He bounces off stuff. His power to have nice little sound effects of the blop and
boing.
Yeah, in there, and like I said, his superhero alter ego doesn't have a name. There's some evil mastermind guy that we meet, and that's about it. Oh, and we know he's a slacker because he smokes out of a bong in the beginning of the issue. Because that's the standard way of showing that a character is a slacker. Have him show him doing drugs. But yeah, it was just a sort of medium as far as like rating. It falls somewhere in like a medium range.
Was it? Did it feel more like a prequel book to you? Like it's more like setting up for a story as opposed to being the story itself.
Yeah, a lot of setup. Like the evil mastermind person that we meet. There's a lot of him talking and setting stuff up, and sort of like what do they call it?
Exposition.
Exposition from him talking to his lackeys and whatnot, and then the book ends. I'm trying to remember now. Something happened at the end where the hero is like he's like in a hypnotic state, and then it looks like he meets maybe someone from his past in his dream, and then the book ends.
Whatever. Are you going to read the next one? Are you going to read the next one?
I'm going to read up to like issue 3.
I may not read the next one. We'll see.
Yeah. Did you read it?
Did I read it? Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did read it. Like I said, it read like a pitch for a movie, and it moves so slow. Kind of like what Dirt was saying, that there's not much, there's a little bit of exposition, but it doesn't really set up the story as well as I thought it could have. So it just sounded so like not interesting to me, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I kind of can say the same.
I was gonna say it read more like an issue number 6 than a number 1. You kind of just get thrust into this guy's world, and you're just like, what? Well, how does this all fit together?
I'll keep trying all these issue 1s for Image books, so they keep kind of like hype them up so much. I still don't know what's going on in East of West, but everyone drools over that.
Really? Okay.
It's my term is my trademark phrase is Hickman mumbo jumbo. His Avengers stuff better be leading to something. Like I said, once Infinity is over, I better become like this big Hickman fan afterwards. All this stuff he's been trying to set up. But anyway, any other Image books anyone else read? I'm gonna assume no.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Marvel.
Marvel now.
Marvel now. Everything's now. I know Classic purchased A+X for some strange reason.
Yeah, I actually went paid for this one. Not a bad book.
It actually, you know what? We got a I was about to say we got a review copy out there, so I read it. I kind of liked it was Sal LaRocca, your man Sal LaRocca, doing the art on the lead story there.
Oh really? Oh, I'll read it then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the lead story with Spider-Woman and Kitty Pryde, and your typical team up. Actually, the two of them take on Absorbing Man, Crusher Creel, and as well as a whole bunch of AIM and Hydra agents all like assembled together. They're basically trying to Absorbing Man's trying to get his hands on this like rare meteorite so he can absorb the power from that rock. And you know, Spider-Woman doesn't do much in the title in this story, but it's mostly about Kitty Pryde, and she actually lets him absorb it. And then goes to some like really great lengths to bring him down, which it's a great exploration of her powers and abilities, and of course the relationship between the two of them and Lockheed the Dragon, who, as we found out a while back, is an agent of S.W.O.R.D.
Yep.
And of course, Jessica Drew's also an agent of S.W.O.R.D. So that was kind of what brought them together. But other than that, it was a nice, fun story, and it's good to see these two girls running around.
Who wrote that team up?
Who's the writer on that? Jerry Duggan.
Oh, okay.
Is that
Duggan.
Hacksaw's
He did
brother?
no, he
He had 2 books out this week then, huh?
Yeah.
Because
no, did Duggan do the? Oh yeah, he did do it. I thought
Yeah,
he
he
did
did the writing.
Oh my bad. Yeah, he did do the writing
On the first story, he did.
Mm-hmm.
he did the Uncanny Avengers 8 AU
Yeah.
with Remender.
Yeah.
I'm not
And I don't know. I actually like this A+X series. It does remind me of like the Marvel team up, and the fact that they fit 2 stories in one title each time. Some of the stories are hit and miss. Some are like, yeah, I can live without it, but that they pack 2 in there, you feel like you're getting your money's worth when you pick it up. So that's why I keep buying physical copies of this. I'm gonna have my collection going, I guess.
What's the second story about? Who's the team up in the second part?
Hawkeye
Deadpool
and
Hawkeye.
Deadpool.
Yeah, it was actually good.
What? Wait, say that one more time.
Oh,
Deadpool
Hawkeye
and who? Oh,
and Deadpool.
so Deadpool's a X character.
Yeah, because he's was
Well,
introduced.
he really wanted to join the X-Men. Like, was it 2 or 3 years ago? Got his own X-Men suit, and they had to send Domino to like talk him out of it nicely.
Yeah. That Deadpool's like got running jokes, and the joke with Deadpool in this one is since he's teaming up with Hawkeye, he has his own set of bow and arrows, and so he breaks out his like bow and arrows like with Hawkeye. They come busting in, and he's got his own trick arrows, and one of each of his trick arrows, and this is like a nod to Green Arrow. His trick arrow has a big Hulk fist at the end of it, a big green Hulk fist, and he like fires it. It hits the guy's chest and like just falls to the floor. Like it doesn't even do any damage.
No. Whatchamacallit? It was actually the Hulk. The Hulk smash the toy that he put on the end of an arrow.
Oh, the Hulk hands.
Right, the
Yeah,
Hulk hand. So
Put 'em on the
when
end
it
of the
hits the guy, it makes a sound.
Yeah, like thud, but it does nothing to the guy. It's like
Right.
and then like a second later blows up, and he lets on that all his trick arrows are just exploding arrows. I thought that was funny. Yeah, only complaint I have is you could tell, and I guess who's the writer on this? Christopher Hastings. He does capture some of the humor of Deadpool, but there's not as many quips as I'm used to seeing like when I'm reading like the regular Deadpool comic or in other comics. It was like kind of like. This is his take on Deadpool, so it wasn't as funny. And Hawkeye just seemed like he was just there. It wasn't like, this wasn't the Hawkeye that we read in his regular series. So I mean, this was probably a little substandard, story-wise for both characters. But I thought it was a great addition to this book. So
I like the Legolas joke.
Yeah, but that was kind of like a play off the Avengers movie, and kind of throw that in there.
Okay. A+S. I'll quickly skim through it.
Yeah, there you go.
Who wrote and drew the Deadpool Hawkeye team up?
Christopher Hastings did the writing. Riley Brown did the art on this, and I'd say the art was pretty good. He's got some pretty. I
agree. It was good.
Haven't heard of either one of those jokers.
Yeah, there you go. So nice debut, I guess, for Tim Dog.
Yes. Okay. Let's see, next book from Marvel.
Daredevil?
Well, if we're going in
Yes.
alphabetical order.
Well, yeah. Alphabetical order. Next would be Avengers 12, which I read and don't really remember a thing that happened. Oh yeah, it was them hanging out at Savage Land. Again, nothing really happened.
That about sums it up.
What happened at the end? How did it end? I don't remember how it ended.
Oh, you know what's funny about this though, real quick? They kind of put in from Iron Man 3 the remote control suit.
Oh, okay.
How Stark can be in space and still be doing Avengers stuff. I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, really? This is how they're going to incorporate that? You know, Deodato's art on this was good. I mean, what happens on this? It's a little bit of, kind of following up on these these growth bombs or whatever they call them, the life bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're like they're teaching these people or these new creatures how to live in the world, live in our world.
Right, and at the end, you know, I thought the character that shows up again at the end, you know, kind of makes sense. You know, it's kind of a cool reintroduction of, you know, I'll spoil it now, spoil it, the High Evolutionary.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know, so I thought that was a pretty good, you know.
Can't remember what happened.
That was kind of a pretty good, you know, segue into the next issue. It's like, oh, okay, it kind of makes sense that he would show up.
Yeah, never really read any High Evolutionary books.
You didn't read the Evolutionary War going way back when?
Nope.
That was coming out back in our heyday, right, Classic?
Yeah, so now you guys can talk about Daredevil 26.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man's still a douchebag in this book.
Oh yes. Oh, I mean, we'll get to more
Avengers.
Spider-Man douchiness later,
Yeah.
but
I should have reviewed Superior Spider-Man now that I think about it.
all right, Daredevil 26. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say because people like reading reviews and posts on Superior Spider-Man.
Gotcha.
But go on.
All right, so Classic, you want to take the lead on this, or?
You can go ahead. I'll fill in for it.
All right. So basically, this is the reveal. The big reveal is who's been screwing with Matt Murdock for, you know, since the beginning of Mark Waid's run on this, like basically 26 issues worth. And DD's coming off of getting his butt whooped. He's running in fear. Literally, he's the man with fear after getting his butt whooped by Ikari, who basically has all of his powers, but can also see. So, you know, he's not, you know, he's with sight. So, you know, it definitely changes the dynamic of Daredevil, you know, in terms of like what he can do to exploit, you know, any kind of weaknesses that his enemies might have, and you know, it's an interesting twist to it. But the big reveal is, drum roll, please. Who else? But spoilers, Bullseye.
Aha.
I thought Bullseye was dead.
We all know dead.
Definitely not dead in this, but he is completely screwed up. So it was kind of interesting to see, you know, this is kind of a cool development for the Bullseye character. Right. They basically have him in this like iron lung type thing, and the premise of the story is, since this guy who was kind of a thug and just really based off of, you know, like his whole character is really based off of his physical ability to, you know, always hit the mark, you know, with a weapon. You're basically weaponizing anything that he can put in his hands. You know, what would happen to that guy if he can't move? You know, does he become like, you know, just a whatchamacallit, a vegetable?
Yeah.
Right. Or, you know, does he do something, you know, with what he's got left, which is his brain? So he basically becomes like a new criminal mastermind, and it's kind of cool. You know, it's kind of cool. I mean, I give Waid, you know, I'm willing to give Waid some slack on this. I was kind of disappointed that it was Bullseye, to be perfectly honest. But at the same time, I'm willing to give him some slack to see where this is going.
Slack has been cut.
Yeah, I think it's quite masterful that it's Bullseye of all people, because you're expecting it to be like, you know, either some new villain or the Kingpin again or something, and it's like, this is somebody that's got a real reason for revenge.
Right.
because of what Daredevil did to him, and the fact that is it elevates his character because he's not just some assassin with adamantium bones or whatever the hell he used to have. It's like, yeah, and he was brought low as can be. You know, I find this akin to when the Riddler was the guy behind, like, was the one that found out about Bruce Wayne's identity, Batman's identity, Bruce Wayne, a few years back, and how that elevated his character. You know, so you know.
I mean, it's been done before with Bullseye. You know, like they've elevated him. Like remember, like they literally broke him. That's why they gave him some adamantium bones. You know, and then you know, now they brought him back after basically getting killed. So, I mean, I agree, you know, but at the same time, I was like, oh, you know, it would have been nice if it was somebody else. But, you know, it's a great character development for Bullseye. So I'm willing to give him, you know, like I said, I'm willing to give it, you know, give Wade some room to develop this.
And I'm going to try to start reading Daredevil now.
Yeah. No, you know what I thought was weird, though, was how Foggy, with the help of Foggy Nelson, Matt was able to figure out was Bullseye. He draws some diagram, and I'm like, why are you drawing this diagram this way? It's like there's so many other ways that you can, you know, kind of deduce it. It's like, okay, you got to do it with this way for symbolism. And when you see the book, you'll see it. And I'm just like, yeah, this is too
convenient
for me. Yeah, it's too convenient that they're.
And supposedly, Mark Waid said he's left clues throughout the book, you know, earlier in the series of who the mastermind was.
Yeah, and that's
I
what
could go
writers
back and
tend
look.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those that care about that kind of thing.
That's a Dan Slott plot device.
Well, yeah, everyone's gonna say that they, you know, seeded things in prior books.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four #8.
Okay, guys. All right, classic. Did you read this?
I did not get to this one yet.
Dirt, did you read this?
I'm trying to remember if I did or not. They had it in some of the review stuff, but is this the one where Ben Grimm turns back into a dude and goes back to like the 50s or the 40s or whatever?
Yep. Because here's the thing. Tim and I think both Tim and Dirt mentioned last week that they were dropping FF.
Yep.
Right? Fantastic Four specifically, and the FF book too. And I'm willing to give it a shot. This filler book, this filler story, it put me on my last leg. You know, it's put this book on its last legs with me. Seriously, like all this stuff, like literally, you know, they go back in time, right? And almost as a gift for Ben Grimm on the one day of the year that he gets to be human, you know, thanks to the kids from the Future Foundation, right? They take him back to Yancey Street, back in like the 40s or 50s, you know, like or even the 30s, you know. You know, it might even be pre-World War II.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't think it ever actually says what year it is. You can just tell that it's, you know, the past, obviously.
Right. It's, you know, it's supposed to be Lower East Side when, like, you know, there was like a predominantly Jewish population down there, and you know, it basically involves you know, Ben Grimm being human and going back to do something to save his sweet Aunt Petunia. Right? And
so we get to see sweet Aunt Petunia?
Yes, we do get to see her, and you know, she's a sweetheart, but you know, the story as a whole was just awful. It was bad. And you know, I have no idea why Fraction puts this story in this particular sequence in here. It really didn't help the story at all, you know, the overall story. So I don't get where this is going, and honestly, you know, this book is on its last legs with me.
Yeah, that's two
Welcome
things
to the
we
club.
don't need to see. We don't need to see young Aunt May or young Aunt Petunia, and I don't, you know, this is just pure filler. And I thought from the last issue, you know, when they said that, you know, he was going to basically be human for a day, that you know, what he was going to do, I thought it was going to be a little more interesting than just this. You know, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, it's on its last legs with me. Fraction, I'm calling you out.
Yeah. What happened to the freaking cancer? What the hell? This is the reason why they're out there in the first place. Yep. It's like, you know, shouldn't someone, like, some body part start falling off or something? What the hell?
Yep. Yeah. I agree. And here I just saw a note that I put down. Time travel. You know how everyone's complaining about Wolverine going back into the past to change stuff? Isn't that what Ben Grimm's doing right now?
Yep.
Going back into the past to do something to prevent something from happening to sweet Aunt Petunia.
He saved Aunt Petunia. That means Uncle Ben never gets shot by
the
burglar because Aunt Petunia was his babysitter.
So when they come to the future, right, what happens to the Yancey Street gang? What's going to happen? What's going on? Because that's sort of what this is about. So I'm like, hey, changing the past. Hello.
It's like at the last Marvel retreat, like a year or two ago, since they supposedly have these things planned out 2 years in advance, they decided every book's going to involve time travel.
J. Jonah Jameson never reads a newspaper, doesn't get inspired to start the Daily Bugle, thus he never hires Peter Parker. It's like the butterfly effect, man.
Not only that, but it was just the story on its own. Like, I was just kind of thinking about it in my head that a lot of times they do one-and-done stories, but there's some sort of character development or there's something... It's meant to show you something about the character or set something up in the future. And like they did one a couple issues ago where they go back in time to ancient Rome and Caesar is going to get murdered. But then you find out that Caesar isn't really Caesar. The real Caesar died, and this is like an alien shapeshifter that took his place. And that sets up something where it says, 2,000 years later, and then you see Caesar is like some other businessman. He's still on Earth. And he's going to help out the FF or something. Like there was something about that. That one and done story was stupid, and I hated reading it, and it was a waste of time. But it set up something that's going to happen in the future. Whereas I read this one, it didn't feel like it had any impact on anything else. And when he goes back in time, he's like, "Hey, there's this random guy walking around our neighborhood. Hey, everybody, let's invite him in. Let's make him dinner." Like there was no.
You look familiar, fella.
Yeah, there was nothing about this story that made sense or set up something else that felt important or had any sort of outcome of any worth. Like it was a completely this is like an episode of the Saturday morning cartoon where they could blow up the world at the end of it and then the next week they come back and everything's fine.
You know what this story is fit for? The annual. This should have been like a second or backup story in the annual for the Fantastic Four. This should not have been a canon issue for number 8. This should have been like, they should have put this
free comic book day.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
This is a backup story for an annual. Yeah. I agree with
because you know what this is. This is a nod to like longtime FF fans or Ben Grimm fans, and I don't even think any FF fans are like, "Oh man, I am so glad I got this heartfelt Ben Grimm's tale, this yarn to help me reminisce about the old blue-eyed ever-loving thing." No, they're like, "Oh man, this would have been a cool backup story. I don't know why they wasted a good full comic
or a 99-cent digital only." Type of thing that they do from time to time. That's
this was a backup story.
Or the free issue that comes when you buy a set of Craftsman tools or something like that.
Craftsman tools.
All I know is I was that close to actually buying this in the store, and I'm kind of glad I didn't pull the trigger because
you'd be pulling the trigger in a different manner after reading it.
Believe me, I'm ready to pull the trigger on dropping this. Right.
That's why I follow my instinct. No more Fantastic Four books for me.
I mean, what's funny about this is that you could definitely skip this. Like, if you were interested in collecting it, but wanting to keep up with the whole cancer storyline, you could definitely skip this book, leave it at the store, and come back for the next issue. But even that is supposed to be, some more time traveling BS. What's going on with the research? Hello?
Are they supposed to be trying to find a cure?
I have a feeling they might find it soon because they're going to time travel to when they first go back when they go back into the cosmic rays. That's what I think is going to happen, honestly.
Ooh, that actually makes sense.
That's where I think it's going to happen because, basically they're going back to, this is the way I see it happening is that they've gone back to like kind of the things that helped form Ben Grimm, right? By him going back to Yancey Street, right? Helping him be grow up tough, right? Now the next issue they're teasing that they're going to go back and see if Ben Grimm screwed around with Victor Von Doom's whatchamacallit?
His mom
apparatus.
Experiment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The experiment in college where he was trying to reach his mom in the afterlife, right? And instead, he must have messed with it and caused it to blow up and scarred his face, and led him on that road to being Dr. Doom, right? So maybe the next step is to time travel into when they finally go into the cosmic rays.
Interesting. See, that sounds interesting, but I don't feel like waiting around to get to that point.
Right, but they're not saying that that's what they're doing. You just, like, well, that's that. Sometimes, remember you were talking about being spoon-fed. Sometimes you have to be given some clue as to what's going on. We don't have any clues. That's what that I have to sit down and just kind of think about the big picture is kind of screwed. That doesn't help the casual reader who's picking this issue up and be like, so what does this have to do with what's going on?
Right.
I feel sorry for like the 10-year-old or 12-year-old kid that's getting into comics and is like, oh, Fantastic Four, I remember, the movie or the cartoon or something, I'm going to pick up the comics. Because Fantastic Four was one of those books that, when I was a young teen that I read. And they're going to pick up a book like this and be like, oh, the Fantastic Four sucks. And then this is going to be the end of Fantastic Four for a while.
Yeah, this is Pussycats in Outer Space.
Oh, yeah. Since we are talking about Fantastic Four, I was looking at the sales charts for April, and yeah, the Fantastic Four books aren't doing too well.
Oh, boy.
I mean, they're not. Yeah. They're in like the 20,000s, I think, like high 20,000s, which compared to some of the other books isn't.
Which is sad because I actually do like FF, but the art's probably not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm sure but that's actually the better of the two books, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. Even though I thought I wasn't gonna like it, I ended up liking the art in FF. Go figure.
I think we skipped over one.
What are you showing?
Oh, Deadpool! You picked that up?
Yeah, buddy. It's the team up with the Superior Spider-Man
and the inferior Deadpool.
Yeah.
Oh, how is that?
I gotta read that.
I love this book. I love this Deadpool title because it is just fun. It's funny, and I mean, basically, the way it starts, you kind of get Deadpool and his quandary with the last issue. He was messing with like Tony Stark, or actually, I think it was the issue before that. But basically, you get the explanation again that he's sharing a mind with Agent Preston, who was this Shield agent who got killed in like two previous story arcs ago, and she's actually in his mind because of some mystical art that took place. And he's also being haunted by the ghost of Benjamin Franklin, who's hanging out with him from when he was killing all the zombie presidents that were brought back to life. Ben Franklin is written out of this story pretty early because he goes into the strip club called Amazing Fantasy to go to the peep show because he's tired of the barbarism from Deadpool that he's exhibiting. So Deadpool is on his own, but he's got an assignment. He has to kill this guy who's like a precog, whose name is Clump. And when you see this guy, he's like he's basically a parody of Donald Trump. And of course, in his mission to assassinate this guy, he runs into the Superior Spider-Man, and it starts off. He gets hit with the web, and he goes, "My team-up senses are tingling." Yeah, but this is not the Amazing Spider-Man, the old Peter Parker. This is the new one that's taken over by Doc Ock. So he's playing the straight man to Deadpool's funny, and you actually see some some old-fashioned Spidey villains pop up too. Paste Pot Pete, aka the Trapster.
Yes.
Chance is there. Lady Stiltman.
Lady Stiltman.
Yeah, he's in there. And Taskmaster, which I thought was funny because when they get into battle, this guy Clump actually hired them to be his his bodyguards or whatever, and. Deadpool's about to face off with him, and you hear Taskmaster kind of whisper to him, "Hey man, take it easy. Don't hit me in the face. I'm trying to make a quick butt." He's like, "No sweat, bro." He just kicks him. And I mean, this is just a nice, fun book. To me, it's very whimsical. The back and forth between Deadpool and Superior Spidey is crazy, and I just loved it.
Oh, that's
I think
cool.
This is the best book going right now today.
Oh,
I think to me this feels like the sitcom of the Marvel universe. Like this is your, punchline every page type of book. This is your Big Bang Theory as a comic, type of thing where it's got that easy setup and the punchline that you see coming from a mile away, but yet when they do it, you still laugh.
Yeah. Every time you turn the page, you're like, "Oh man, it's hilarious. What are they doing here?"
all right. I may pick that up on Sunday. I just wanted to ask: did did they put in a bit? Is it a done in one issue, or is there a continuation? I had a question about Taskmaster.
There is a to be continued at the end. However, it does seem like it's been wrapped up. I don't see how they're continuing this.
Oh, okay. Because it would be funny if Taskmaster figured out that that's not really Parker. Based on the fighting style.
Oh, true. I don't.
It'd be funny if they mentioned that.
Yeah. Now, Deadpool did notice that Spidey had a different personality. He wasn't cracking the the jokes like. But that's kind of what the rest of the Marvel universe has noticed too. That he's just not the same. So. Yeah,
but it'd be funny if Taskmaster figured out, because you know how he's got the photographic reflex memory or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, these moves are different. This is a different guy. What's going on?
True. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Nerd alert! Nerd alert!
Yeah. you know prizes in the mail, sir.
Let's see. Fearless Defenders 4 AU tie-in. Haven't read it yet, but I will.
It was interesting.
I read it. I like the reveal that they had about Hippolyta's roots or origins, which I guess if you're into Greek mythology makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Does she actually rip off the head of Doctor Doom?
It's a...
yeah, it's a Doombot.
Yeah, it's a Doombot spoiler.
What?
Yeah, it's not really Doom. But the guy behind the Doctor Doom, behind the curtain, that's the reveal I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
But I won't spoil that for you. You can check that out.
I know some of y'all enjoyed Journey into Mystery.
Oh, I didn't get to read it yet.
652.
Yeah. I got it here. It's in my to be read list. I actually was going to read it before the show, but there's so much.
Is that Beta Ray Bill?
It is, but it's another misleading cover because they go back in action with Beta Ray Bill, and then he shows up like the third to last page.
Really?
How's the art in that book, by the way?
It was okay. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think it's the same artist that's been there the last few months. No, this is the new one. Valerio Shitty.
I've never read it.
Pronounced Shitty.
It's probably Skeety, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Skeety.
Here, look. How do you pronounce this? SCITI.
Yeah. Shitty.
I'm trying to stay ahead of the censors.
Yeah. But look at that splash. That's some good action there, I'm telling you. Lady Sif is hot to trot, man, I'll tell you. I don't know what she's doing.
Scarlet Spider number 17.
I didn't get to read it yet.
Me either.
Kane is a killer.
Has anybody been reading Scarlet Spider regularly?
I have.
Read the last couple issues.
I started from the beginning, and I've stopped at issue. I stopped right before the Minimum Carnage or Maximum Carnage, whatever that crossover with Venom.
Has he always had the big time suit with him, or is that new in this issue?
That's new.
No, didn't he take that with him, like when he left New York?
Yeah, he did take it with him. In fact, I don't even think he wears it this issue. Let me go through it.
Another misleading cover.
No, he wears it on the mission. He like it's like half the issue. He has his old costume or his current red and black, and then he puts that on for his mission. Which his mission from the cover will tell you he has to go and assassinate Wolverine. Basically, the League of Assassins? No, it's the Guild of the Assassins Guild.
They basically Guild,
that he used to be wrapped up in. They caught up with him down in Houston, and they told him so that we leave your family alone and leave your family friends alone, or leave your friends alone, I should say, and leave Houston. You've got to basically go after somebody we've been trying to get at for a while, and that's Wolverine. And he's like, oh boy. But he flies back to New York, goes all the way back up, to the Westchester, New York, and gets into the Xavier Mansion. The old Xavier Mansion, the Jean Grey School now, and sneaks in, does battle with, some of the X-Men, Beast and Iceman, and actually, lays down the killing strike, which, of course, if we know Wolverine, the to be continued will tell us that this is not is far from over. But what I thought was interesting was he's got a sidekick now in Araceli, who's this little Mexican girl that he rescued all the way back. What was it, like issue number 5 or something? She's been sticking around in the book, and she actually dons a costume. She's got like some kind of like mystical manipulating powers, like with the I think basically She affects all the telepaths in the Xavier Mansion. Like they were all like kind of freaked out by her, but her costume is kind of funny, you know.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna give up Venom and maybe start back reading Scarlet Spider.
Yeah, I'd say check it out. Yeah,
Right,
and
cool.
a nice little X-Men crossover, so you get to see some of the X folks in here.
Superior Spider-Man number 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pull out my notes. Here we go.
Wow.
I like that you make notes.
I try, because
prepared.
sometimes, because there's weeks where I'm just like, going off my memory and I can't remember half the stuff that I read,
I can't forget any of this book. I made a beeline for this as soon as I got in the store. But let's see.
Take the lead. Go
A
ahead.
few things come. Well, I'm just gonna get some of the high points out of the way. The Green Goblin's back. I think that's kind of like one of the big reveals. Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, is back.
Well,
Well-
we think it's him because we never actually see him.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say, they
him.
make it clear that you don't know who it is in the suit, so it could be somebody else.
Could be, yeah.
That's him.
He does reveal he's the Goblin King. Basically, what he's doing in the shadows is he's unifying all these gangs or all these henchmen that Spider-Man's bringing down. So he's got like the old, the kids that were part of the Vulture's gang. He gets Tombstone's gang and all these other gangs together, and he's kind of bring a Goblin Corps together. He's also working behind the scenes to try to get at the at Superior Spider-Man or Spidey-Ock, if you will. He basically takes one of his tracking spiders and figures out the frequency or figures out like a flaw in it. So he's able
He hacks
to,
into the drone, basically.
yeah, hacks
Yeah.
into it. So he's able to basically operate undetected, and he sends out his goons, the former little Vulture kids, and they're now dressed as little Green Goblins, and they basically go to MJ's club and start a fire and trap them in it.
This was a plot. Wasn't this a plot in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon?
I think it was.
Right?
So,
Like the one that
slots
came
the-
before Ultimate.
Yeah.
Is that on
like,
Netflix streaming, by the way?
I don't know.
I don't know if
I
it's
don't know,
on.
but it's definitely available somehow.
But I mean, it worked. I mean, it's a good story. Like
Right.
this was a great issue.
Yeah.
You also get to see Doc Ock Peter kissing the little midget lady. I mean,
Yeah.
Come on, there's
They moved that.
forget Superman and Wonder Woman. You got midget lady and Peter Parker going. on.
Yeah.
It's Tudor.
Yeah. She's like, give me a boost on the counter so we can make out.
And then his beeper goes off and he runs out the door.
Yeah.
So then
Oh.
there you got your like that 70s show hijinks.
Right.
Oh, he aced the physics exam. Did he go to that class and like he finished it in like mere minutes? he's like I'm done. It's like there's no way you can be done. He's like I aced it. Plus I fixed the typo on page 4 for you, buddy. Yeah, I mean as dastardly and dreadful as Doc Ock taking over Peter Parker has been, this has been probably one of the most fun I've had reading a Spidey book in a while, because it's basically like this is evil Spidey.
Right.
Yeah.
See, to me, what's fun about it is that I'm constantly wanting to punch Otto Octavius in the face.
Yeah.
Right? And that's sort of what keeps the page turns going. It's like I want to see what happens next, and it sort of adds on to me wanting to punch him in the face.
See, I'm the opposite. I love him as Spider-Man. I hope it never changes and goes back. and
It's interesting now.
Because he's so effective. Like
and he's trying to redeem himself is really what it comes down to. It's like can a villain as evil as him who tried to destroy the entire Earth redeem himself? Like he tries to be the hero, and a lot of times he gets it wrong just because he understands like the end mission. The end mission is to save people, but the question is, does the end justify the means? Does the means justify the end? How do you work out those types of morality issues? But it's doing it in a fun way. There's a lot of really deep stuff going on.
Even how he handles the fire with at MJ's club, like he gets an alert finally that there's a fire there, but because of his priorities and he's trying to bring down the gangs and crime in the city, he just dispatches the fire engine over there.
But he doesn't know that it's MJ's club. That's the thing. That was the hack.
Yeah, he's
So
like, yeah, it's a building, it's on fire. Like,
right,
just and but it's like that efficiency, kind of that's helping him in the long run in terms of what his plans are for the city. I think we're going to end up seeing this Spidey clean up the whole damn city, and it's going to be like, wow, well, what next? But it's obviously going to be at the loss of some personal losses. I think in terms of what Peter Parker's
yeah,
family
that
and
midget
friends
lady's
are
gonna die.
yeah.
That she's dead.
I mean,
She's dead. That midget
I
lady's dead.
Someone's
definitely
dying.
see him having that problem where it comes down to, okay, well, you're a superhero, and you have to save lives, and the fact that you're a superhero, but you're also a person, and
Yeah.
as a person, you have an effect on the lives around you. So there has to be a balance somewhere of like the greater good versus these individuals who depend on you, in their daily lives. You either have to cut off all human interaction and not deal with anybody on a personal basis, or you have to take that just as importantly as you're taking on saving the city.
Yeah.
So again, there's like a deep message and a deep morality play going on while it's Peter Parker kissing a midget woman.
Yeah. Dan Slott is a sicko. He's having these,
He's doing all this on purpose.
Right.
he's philosophical, existential.
Sure. It's still. I still want to punch Otto Octavius in the face, but like I said, it's definitely effective. So
Let's try to hurry up and get through these last couple books to end around 11-ish. Uncanny Avengers number 8 AU. It's a story basically featuring Kang and the Apocalypse Twins, where at least here they're young kids, and he sends them off to the Age of Ultron world to get some seasoned training on killing heroes.
And you liked it, didn't you?
Yeah, actually, I enjoyed it because we found got to learn some history of not history but some background on the Apocalypse Twins and saw how different their personalities are. I liked it for that purpose. Anyone else?
no, I agree. It was good to see how get some character development on the Apocalypse Twins.
Yeah. Yeah, I skimmed it while I was in the store. I didn't pick it up, but it didn't really do much for me. It was kind of just like, yeah.
Uncanny X-Men number 6. I haven't read it, but I know a few of you have.
Yeah,
Right.
I read this one.
I read it.
Yeah, the art turned me off when I started to like look at this book. Like, oh, yeah, there's now another new artist. Was it
Really?
Fraser
Irving? I thought it was good.
I mean, I got started to get used to it, but I think what was it? Didn't he take over starting last month or last issue? And with the watercolors or whatever, it's just like, I guess it's good for this story, for Ilyana and Magic, and
being in limbo, yeah.
Yeah. I think the only thing I got from this, other than the battle and the kids kind of being thrust into another battle, with the rest of the team, is the reveal at the end, where basically Shield looks to another mutant to basically be their secret agent to help them get inside the heads of the X-Men, particularly of Cyclops, which I guess I could reveal that here. Spoiler. Dazzler is the new agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, that's kind of the last page reveal there, and I don't know, I'm kind of mixed about that because I'm like, okay, well, it's Alison Blair, it's the Dazzler, she's usually an entertainer. How the hell is she going to be an asset to S.H.I.E.L.D.? She's not really that much involved with the X teams as it is. She's always been like kind of an ancillary, sort of outside character.
Well, she's free now since Extreme X-Men is canceled.
Right. But I think she'd be a good go-between,
Yeah.
Yeah, something for her to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess them not knowing that she's with S.H.I.E.L.D., she can just show up and say hey and hang out and kind of do some double agent stuff and give some intel. But
Here's a question for you guys, and I don't know if anybody else picked up on this, but do you notice that there's something different about the Uncanny X-Men cover as opposed to the other Marvel books?
Let's see.
Here, let me give you, if you can see what's going on my screen. Okay, you see this? You see the red stripe at the bottom? It's like a bright cherry red.
Mhm.
Bright cherry red. Dark red. This is like...
That's Auburn.
And it's like... but the thing is, you can tell that it's not just that they miscolored it, because if you look at the AR, the Marvel AR thing down at the bottom, that's got the correct color of red on it. Just for whatever reason, it's like... I don't know, does the color red have anything to do with this story? Does it somehow play in? Like, is this some sort of clue or something? Because
they're in a version of hell.
They're in hell.
So,
That's it.
you know, that might be it. You know, something darker.
But it's like every Marvel book in Marvel Now has that red stripe at the bottom, and it's all the exact same color. And you know that this is a professional company. They're using, you know, like Pantone professional colors. Like, that is exactly color like 09115A or whatever, that every book has to be printed with that exact same cover except this one.
Someone made a boo-boo.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because it's just, it seems like it would have to be done on purpose, but for doing something like that.
It's interesting. I don't know what to say, you know. You know, thematically, I think it fits. You know, like we were saying before, they're sort of in hell. So
yeah, well, I think it's because this is a Bendis book, and that's why.
But it's like all the others have. There's the red stripe, the red stripe, the red stripe.
Yeah.
And last Marvel book is Young Avengers #5, which I actually enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And classic holds up for us.
Yeah.
It ends the first arc, gives a reason for the team to actually stay together. Had action in it. We learned little stuff with Loki. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's the best Young Avengers book so far.
Well, you know what's funny about that is that, you know how I was always going on and on about how Journey into Mystery was funny because of, you know, Loki and the way that Gillen was writing him. You know, this book almost brought that back. You know, like with that whole page of him talking to the reader.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's, you know, I got a kick out of that. I was like, oh, okay, they're bringing this back. So that's, you know, that was a kind of a cool callback for me.
And I liked McKelvey's art.
Oh yeah, the art's fantastic. You know, that there's no question about that with this book. You know, I like that there was a lot of action in this issue. I'm still kind of thrown off sometimes by this new, like, it's like a new pop type of style that they've got going here. You know, like they try to make it real, like, you know, I guess trendy or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, I guess it works for the book. You know, even the credits at the end, it was like you've been reading a Marvel Comics publication, like kind of weaved into the into the page. I was like, wait a minute, what the hell?
That was kind of cool. That was kind of cool. I did like that.
Yeah, but it kind of just threw me off. Like, wait a minute, didn't we get a title for this issue? I guess not. There it is.
I like that though. At the end, the last part being the table of credits, I got a kick out of that. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. You know. But you know, I'm kind of fearful that this book will start to get a little too pretentious. Like it's going to get too full of itself, and they're going to put all these cute things in each issue and it'll take away from the story. You know,
every issue is going to have something like that.
Yeah, some trick. You know, some neat trick in there, and you're like,
some cheap parlor trick.
Yeah, I'm afraid that the story, and this was a great story in this one, but I'm afraid there's going to be some issues where the story's not that great, and we're going to be like, well, at least they had this cool pop-up page with the scratch and sniff on it. That was pretty neat. You know, like, you know, I don't know. It's kind of funny to me. Dirt, what'd you think?
All right, that does it for Marvel.
I don't read Young Avengers.
There you go. See, yeah, Dirt's not one for your cheap parlor tricks, there, Gillen.
I don't blame him. I was close to dropping it. That might do it for the show, unless anyone has any other company books they want to mention.
No, not this week.
Cool. So yes, we end right on time. I want to thank everyone for tuning into tonight's episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I ain't mentioned it earlier because Dirt wasn't here, but make sure to check out his website, popculturenetwork.com.
Oh, you can't plug my website when I'm not here? You can't do me a favor if I'm running late?
No, I did say you would be showing up later. So the fans knew you were on your way.
Oh, well, at least my adoring public was waiting for me.
They enjoy seeing the comic book images.
And not my face. Yes, I know.
Agent 70 has his shades. You have comic book as faces. Your Manny comic faces. Instead of
What's
Manny
that?
faces. I said he's Manny.
Oh
comic
yeah, that's
book
right.
faces.
That's right.
I didn't know his first name was Manny.
Man dash Manny.
Manuel.
So yes, thanks for tuning in to tonight's show. Make sure to go to theclicknation.com and watch and listen to previous episodes as we see Bart Simpson comic from Dirt. For classic material, Agent 7_70, PCN_Dirt. I am Tim DOGG 98 on Twitter. And this is the Comic Book Chronicles, and we are signing off.
Peace.
Thank you to the troops.